Greetings, class. I'm Dr. Ramos. I'll be your instructor for Kinesiology 303, the Foundations of Kinesiology. And today we're going to get started by going over what's due in week 1. And before we get to that, I would just want to leave you with a quick devotion. And it's titled Equipped to Do His Will. And I'm going to post the link to that just under this video clip here. So the message for this devotion and just kind of what I thought this message would do is kind of help lay the foundation for what you should expect for the rest of the course and kind of how to prepare yourself as you begin your journey or as you're in the middle of your journey to complete school, to enter the workforce and become a professional. And in this devotion it talks about being sensitive to God's calling on your life, and also what goals He has for you for your life. Taking into account the different gifts and strengths that you have, and how you're going to use those. And second is to be answering that call based on the confidence that He has, based on the confidence that He's equipped you to be able to do and complete these goals. And I think it's important to understand that as He calls you to take on a certain journey or a certain task, that you should know that it's not all based on your strength and whatever knowledge or wisdom you think you have, but it should be based on the strength and fortitude that God has and that He has equipped you with. And in the field of kinesiology, you're going to see that there's many paths that can be taken in this professional workforce, and that depending on what your particular strengths and interests are, you can go in a variety of different paths. As you learn more about these different professions, just keep that message in mind that God is preparing you to take one of these paths, and that He's guiding you and strengthening you towards completing one of these goals. So just keep that in mind as you go through this course. Okay, moving on to our course level objectives for this week. Number 1 is to discuss various forms of physical activity. Number 2 is to identify careers within kinesiology. Number 3 is to identify and explain their ideal profession. And finally, examine biblical perspectives as they relate to kinesiology. So the activities set for you this week are to first read chapters 1 and 2 of your textbook, Introduction to Kinesiology, which is chapter 1, and Spheres of Physical Activity, which is chapter 2. Next, you're going to watch the weekly lecture that I've posted on VoiceThread. You're going to see the link to that on your learning activities on Blackboard. And as for the deliverables, you have 3 different assignments this week. You have a mock interview appointment that you have to get set. You have to take a quiz 1 that has 20 questions that are true, false, multiple choice, fill in the blank. With it says unlimited time, but there's I think 1,440 minutes allowable on our settings for the quizzes. So almost unlimited time. But the intent is that you complete the quiz in one sitting, that you don't submit and then try to take the quiz again, but that you do it all in one sitting. You can use your textbook, your notes, anything like that. Just don't open any other web browsers as you're taking the quiz. And finally, you have a CAP 1 titled Professional Career and Rationale. So I'm going to go over the mock interview appointment and CAP 1 in a little bit more detail here. So the mock interview appointment for this first week, the goal is for you to sign up and schedule an appointment with me via the Calendly link that is found on here. And that's so that we have a scheduled appointment where we're going to take 10 to 15 minutes to complete a mock interview. And this is in order to prepare you for week 7, because in week 7 the actual assignment is to complete a summary of the experience of that mock interview, and then also as well as a reflection on the feedback that I'm going to be giving you. During that mock interview, I will record the interview and give you that recording so you can go back and look at it and maybe analyze it yourself as well. And I'm also going to give you some feedback at the very end of that mock interview. So we'll take a few minutes just for me to kind of debrief you on how the interview went. So that all takes place as far as the assignment to the written portion of that's due week 7. But for this first week, your goal is to, like I said, schedule an appointment. So to ensure that schedules align and accommodations can be made if needed, students are required to schedule an interview with the professor by Sunday, so by the end of this week, which means you have to pull out a calendar and look what days, times work best for you in the next several weeks. And please note that if an appointment is not set by week 1, an automatic 30% will be taken off the written summary and reflection that's due in week 7. This doesn't mean that your appointment has to happen in that first week. It just means that your appointment has to be set by the end of week 1. And students will use the link below to pick one of the available appointments for their mock interview. And then if any of those days and times don't match your availability, you're going to need to email me by Friday of this week to find a date that does work. And the aim is to replicate expectations for an actual interview, which requires planning and a willingness to adapt schedules and make adjustments. Once you've set your appointment via the Calendly app, you are going to upload a screenshot showing the date and the time of set by your appointment. So you're gonna do that here on this link for the appointment. Moving on to Cap 1. So for Cap 1, this is the first assignment that scaffolds each student to get to the final assignment, which is a critical assignment. So the critical assignment in this course aims to develop resources and tools to aid you in your chosen career. So you're going to choose and research a profession you wish to pursue and report and support your findings in a presentation format. And that's going to be, that final critical assignment is going to be due the last week, so week 8, the Wednesday of that week. But before that, like I mentioned, you're going to have several CAPs, or critical assignment preparations. This happens to be the first one, Cap 1, and each one of these CAPs will assist in keeping you on track towards submitting a quality critical assignment in week 8. So therefore, it's highly recommended that you look ahead for the requirements in week 8 of that critical assignment, and then use all those requirements to kind of help guide you in how to complete this first CAP. For each CAP, you're going to receive feedback. For those submissions, you're going to see that I'm going to post feedback as well as your grade for each of those assignments, so that as you move on to the next CAP, you will have made those corrections, and that by the time you get to the critical assignment, there's not going to be much for you left to correct, because you would have already corrected all the mistakes, and then at the end it's basically just putting all of your information together. So as we get started on the critical assignment, Cap 1 requires you to research, identify, and describe a career you wish to pursue while in school or post-graduation. You need to provide a rationale for choosing your desired profession, which includes a brief summary of the chosen career, common tasks associated with the profession, and why you are interested in this field. And you're going to also provide a superficial and a deep meaning as to why you want to become a professional, and expand on those thoughts. For example, maybe you want to be a physical therapist. The superficial reason may be the salary that you can potentially make as a PT. But the deep meaning or purpose comes from your experience with the PT after you encountered an injury in the past, and you want to help others as they helped you. And feel free to add any additional pertinent information. As far as the guidelines, as noted here, this assignment should be a minimum of 2 pages. and include a minimum of one source using your textbook to for example, using the textbook to identify job descriptions. And then also reflect current APA guidelines. And in week 0, you have some resources that are going to help you understand APA guidelines if you haven't done this already. All written submissions need to include a title page. And the reason I bolded that title page is because it says minimum of 2 pages. So 2 pages of your content, but you should also have an extra page for your title page. And then each page needs to have a running head, page numbers, proper document formatting, and then also appropriate in-text citation formatting. And then also a reference page. So technically you should have 4 pages: title page, 2 pages worth of content, and then a reference page. And then it says, please note that comments made on formatting will need to be applied throughout the course and program. So anything that I give you as far as feedback as to your formatting, you're going to apply that to the rest of your papers as well. And if the same mistakes are made in the future, submissions will be referred back to this assignment and the attached resource. Final thing I want to leave you with is this rubric here. So you're going to note that major assignments have a rubric attached to them, and it basically tells you what how I am going to be grading your assignments. So if you have this handy with you as you're writing your paper, you're going to be able to look right at this rubric and double check your work, make sure you've completed or that you're fulfilling each portion of these, because that's how I'm going to be grading your paper. So that's pretty much all I have for you for this week. I wish you the best, and I will talk to you soon.